And welcome, everybody. We are live from Vibes Restaurant here in Tuskegee, Alabama, getting set for the second edition of the Aaron James Coaches Show. We're live on the Golden Tiger Sports Network. Charles Ward alongside head coach Aaron James. And, Coach, as we get into this section of the show, let's first talk about that setting out at Grambling and in the house that Eddie G. Robinson built inside of that stadium and going up against a team that is just as iconic as the Tuskegee program.
Yeah, I just want to say, Mickey Joseph, he did doing a hell of a job over there with those guys. The guys came out to play. He had them, well coached and everything. But just to be in a historic place like that, like you said, with Eddie Robinson, that was a good feeling for us and our team. So we came out offense. We didn't come out fast like we wanted to, but defense came out second half and didn't allow them to score. But we gave them 2 turnovers, well, actually 3 turnovers in the first half with 2 interceptions and a fumble. So, 21 points is hard to give up in the first half. So those guys came out second half and showed that they was ready to play ball. And I'm excited for what I see, and I still believe in my team, so I love what we got. So we're going to be ready to roll. We off this week, and we're going to be ready to roll next week.
You referenced the fact that we gave up an early lead to the Tigers of Grambling. In a series that dates back to the 40s, they won the last matchup, but after that ball game is even at 2-2. Mm-hmm. Was there any consideration or conversation about that going into that ball game, about the significance of this contest just historically? It
was. Like, you got 2 Tigers going at it, and like you say, it's 2-2 now. So the guys understood what we needed to do when we got there. But we didn't finish how we wanted to, at the end. So we're going to go back to the drawing boards and make sure we clean up all the mistakes and everything that we had. So we're just going to be ready to go for when Savannah State come in next week.
When we talk about this matchup between Tuskegee and Grambling, when referencing the iconic nature of both of those programs, they are at a higher level, the FCS level, versus us at Division II, and still the scoring difference only 37-20 in that ball game. So it really speaks to the character or quality of the program at Tuskegee as well.
Yes, it is. Like I stated, we gave up 21 points in the first half. In the second half, the guys came out ready to roll. Came out, made some adjustments and everything. I knew that they was going to be a little bigger than us, but those guys came out to play. We came out to play. So, like I said, we stumbled at the first half, and then we came out second half fired up. And we got the momentum in the second half, and we took off. So, I'm excited, like I say, from what I got for my team, and we're going to be ready to roll when we come back next week.
Coming into that ball game against Grambling and into that setting, what was your mindset as a coach and as a player, never having played there, but knowing the mystique of both programs and then going over there to play? What was your mindset as head coach coming in?
I coached over there when I was at Bethune-Cookman. I went in. That was my first time going into the stadium, but like I say, the atmosphere was good. You can just feel the historic, feeling in it once you walk into that stadium. It's down in the valley, down in that bowl, kind of similar to Tuskegee, but the hill is a little steeper. Sure. But the thing is, the guys was all week. We were just preaching all week to go in and just compete. Compete and dominate. And I think we competed the first half, but we dominated the second half.
No question about that. We'll talk more about that second half and even the first half when we get further into the show. Take our first break here inside of Vibes Restaurant and the Aaron James Coaches Show. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit of offense for the Golden Tigers of Tuskegee. That's just ahead here on the Golden Tigers Sports Network.
We didn't get together, go out and say, hey, we're going to go down there and set the world on fire. It was more collectively individuals seeking to do their best and accomplish the mission that was assigned.
Our mission is to carry the lessons and legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen into every classroom in America.
If you believe as we do that this is an exciting and effective way to carry the story of the Tuskegee Airmen and the excitement of flight to young people all across America, to inspire them to realize how they can rise above the situation they find themselves in, the adversity in their lives, and become contributing members of our society, then we'd encourage you, we'd invite you to come to our website at redtail.org and learn more about what we do.
And welcome back, everybody. We're live inside of Vibes Restaurant here in Tuskegee, Alabama. If you're out riding about and you want to find some place for some good food and talk Tuskegee football, this is the place to be. Take your time, come on in. We'll be here for a while talking to head coach Aaron James in the Aaron James Coaches Show. Coach, talked a little bit about the setting. Let's talk a little bit about that offense for Tuskegee. Some improvement certainly from the first weekend of the season, particularly in terms of running the football.
Yes. That's what we've been harping on all week, making sure that the O-line and the running backs get on the same page with, open up the holes and gaining more rushing yards. So we came out, we led in that category this past weekend, and, it means a lot to the program.
Sure. Doubled the output running the football from the first week. Johnny Morris leading in rushing in that ball game against the Tigers of Grambling. What was the schematic or the scheme going into this week in terms of running the football? What did you think you saw against Grambling's defense that would help us improve in that running game?
Well, I knew going into the game that they was going to be stronger than us up front, and trying to run between the tackles was going to be kind of hard. But Johnny Morris run the ball hard. He can run between the tackles and outside. So we gave him a little bit of both. And the quarterback, Chris Robinson, he got outside as well and made something happen with his legs. So. We've been harping on that all week about getting, gaining the rushing gain and everything. So the guys came out and was ready to roll.
Glad you mentioned that, because our success in the game really was hedged upon what we were able to do at tackle and further out around the edges. Inside, I know we were trying to establish the run game, but I hear your point about they were so much bigger inside as it relates to gaps that our success did not come running the football right up the middle.
Yes, it wasn't. Coach Harry Williams had a game plan ready to go, and he stuck to it. And like I said, the first half we didn't muster up anything. First half, we turned the ball over 3 times, gave them 21 points in the first half. So that was kind of tough to put the defense in that situation. But like I said, second half the guys came out energetic, and we was ready to roll after that.
Noticed that Zena Mobile did not play in the ball game on Saturday. Was that an injury issue or?
Yes, he had a concussion, a slight concussion from John C. Smith game. Yeah, the week before. So the guys that was backed up for him was Leverett, Des Leverett. He came in and got some carries as well. So that backfield is a 4-headed monster. So I'm excited what they got.
Well, you talked about that in the pregame, and you're right. Leverett did come in some good carries for us to kind of push that offense forward, finishing with 105 yards on the ground, referencing a double that amount from the week before. So that definitely headed in the right direction for the Golden Tigers. Let's talk about the quarterback. You went with Chris as a starter in this ball game. We didn't see Raekwon until later in the contest. What was the thinking going in terms of how you were going to manage the quarterbacks in this game?
We just came in like from day one, like I stated last week. Those guys were neck and neck, and just going into this game, we knew we needed a more athletic quarterback, mobility, mobile guy to get outside on the edge when the pocket broke down. So Chris Robinson, he gives up that dynamic explosion, and he came in and used his legs a little bit, against those guys, but he turned the ball over 3 times. So we can't have that as a quarterback, as a leader of the program. So we came in second half, and Raekwon Bill came in and came out and slinging the ball. He's a pocket guy, and he was throwing some darts in there. So I'm excited from what we saw from the beginning and from the second quarter as well.
Well, you referenced the fact that Chris is just a little more mobile than Bill, and we saw that. We just saw some footage there from the football game that he was able to get outside a couple of times on good runs. One was a big third down situation and really executed well on the left side for a long gainer for a first down. So you got to be happy about his element of the game as it relates to running the football. I know you're talking about the 2 interceptions that were thrown. So that kind of keeps you in the quagmire that you're in as it relates, not necessarily a quagmire, but having the 2 quarterbacks there, knowing that Bill is probably there when you want him for throwing it, but Robertson settled in after the 2 interceptions.
Yes, he did. I don't know if the stage was big for him just starting out, but like I said, he settled down and was able to move the ball, move the chains. So we was moving the ball up and down the field, but a couple of times we had some penalties here and there to back us up. And we like I said, we won the third down conversions as well in that statistic. So I'm excited for what we got at the quarterback position, and those 2 guys are gonna be good for this program.
Yeah, Robinson in that ball game able to find some receivers and key points of that contest to really get us going. Let's talk about that receiving core. Garmin really had an outstanding game for us on Saturday.
Yeah, Garmin had a breakout game. He's a he's a redshirt freshman. Kid from Jacksonville, Florida. So he came in hungry. He was hungry. I think he got a couple of snaps last week, and he just came to me. He told me, Coach, I'm ready to go. And he came in, had some big catches, and he ended up with 5 catches with 116 yards. So I'm excited for what their receiving crew is doing. And then you got the number 2, my guy Brickman. So those guys are going to be good. I'm excited for what we got on that side of the ball for as a receiver core. We got some guys, we put the ball in their hand and put them in space, they can make something happen.
So is there any additional decision as it relates to which quarterback's going to take most of the snaps, or is it just a week-by-week thing in terms of what you assess from the opposition's defense as to who gets to go first?
It's just a breakdown of the defense, what we face, and just to see which one going to have the hot hand. So, but those guys are, like I say, those guys, they motivate each other when the one that's not in. So they rally on each other. So those guys are going to be good, and moving forward, we're going to have that quarterback room exciting.
You talked about the 2 interceptions by Chris in the ball game, and I know you're there at the sideline, and as a former quarterback yourself, what are you telling them in that situation when those picks took place? I
just tell them don't try to do nothing outside the offense. Don't try to force anything. Just play within the system. And if it's not there, just live to see another down. He could have easily threw the ball away or ran, out of bounds. But don't force anything. Don't force anything. If it's second down, we'll need to see third down. So that's what I always try to tell him, and making sure that everything sticks. And after he threw those 2 interceptions, he settled down and he came out ready to roll.
Overall, 230-plus yards on offense for Tuskegee, which is an improvement from the week before. So are you getting settled in now and thinking that you're getting more comfortable with the offense?
Yes. Those guys are buying in. They buying into the system. And like I said, Coach Harry Williams, he do a good job with those guys over there. And the offensive staff, they do a great job with those guys week in and week out. So I'm excited for what I saw this past weekend, and those guys, like I say, second half, they came out rolling. So we're going to come out. That's what we want to do this week. Well, not this weekend, but next weekend we face Savannah State. So I'm just looking forward to that game.
Talking about that offensive play calling, during the broadcast, we really noted that there was some excellent play calling from the sideline, situationally taking advantage of that Grambling defense when we had opportunities. Of note, we had that one drive when you went to that wildcat scenario closer to the end zone. Threw the pass out of that formation. Pass was not successful, but it was excellent play calling given what we saw defensively from Grambling.
Yes, it was. It was a little pop pass to the tight end, and the tight end didn't do his assignment well. He actually ran into the defender instead of away from him. So it was a good play call to suck the linebackers in and try to dump it over their head, but we was unsuccessful for it, and Ryan came in and kicked the field goal, and we got 3 points out of it. So it was just, like I said, that play, it would have worked if the tight end would have never ran into the defender.
It was excellent recognition that they were putting so much pressure up front, and just a great call in that situation. We're actually looking at it now, just out of the arms over the tight end inside the end zone, but the play calling just outstanding. So you go into the halftime of this ball game. We get the 3 before the intermission, and we're trailing them. And we'll talk more about what happened in the second half after we get into this timeout. This is the Golden Tiger Sports Network. We're live from Vibes Restaurant here in Tuskegee, Alabama with the Aaron James Coaches Show. Stay with us.
Hey, are you fixing the power?
Yep, I'm gonna get the lights back on.
Yeah, my power went out and I have to start level 14 all over again in our game. Yeah, why didn't mine go out?
Well, we have this technology that can stop an outage in its tracks.
Why?
So less people will be affected during the outage.
Why?
So you can make the level 15?
Come on, Brian. Let's go to your house and keep playing.
Good luck, guys.
We are back live inside of Vibes Restaurant, the site of the Aaron James Coaches Show on the Golden Tiger Sports Network. Glad you could join us out there as you're watching and getting the comments and thoughts from head coach Aaron James after a 37-20 loss to the Tigers of Grambling State University. Got some fans here inside of Vibes, taking in some good food and listening in as Coach James shares his thoughts about Tuskegee in that weekend in Grambling, Louisiana. Coach, we talked about at the halftime, those 2 touchdowns really at the end of the first half really created that separation that proved to be too much for us to overcome in that second half. But before we get into the second half, going into the break and inside the locker room, what were you all telling the team at that point?
I just tell them to focus up and just calm down. You know, calm down and just let the game come to you. Don't do anything extra outside of offense or defense. So those guys, they came together, and we talked about it, and we made those adjustments and everything at the half. So those guys, they knew what was at stake, and they came out second half and just played lights out.
Well, offensively, the first possession of the second half resulted in a score. So we were thinking, boy, the message in the locker room must have been very strong because they really executed on that first drive.
Yes, it was. I had to, just go in and just let them know. I mean, we didn't come all this way just to lay down. You know, it was a long trip, but those guys bought in and they listened and they came out fighting. So I was excited for what I saw in the second half.
Well, that seemed to really kind of get that defense of Tuskegee geared up, seeing that first possession coming out of the halftime. And when the defense got on the field, you talk about lights out. It truly was lights out in that second half. Didn't allow Grambling to score anymore. Can you talk about what was discussed in the locker room to kind of generate that dominant second half?
Well, I can't really say what I said in the locker room, on air, but yeah, those guys, like I said, they bought in and they listened, and the coaching staff, put the plan together, made those adjustments, like I said, and offensively we came out like on that first drive and we scored, and we know that we can score anytime, but those guys just got to make sure they like buy into the system and just calm down and let the game come to them.
If you reflect back on the second half and the quality of the defensive play there in that first half, what was the difference? Was it just a couple of mistakes that led to these touchdowns by Grambling that gave them such a large lead starting second half?
Yes, it was a couple mistakes here and there. Like I say, we had a couple of penalties and those 2 turnovers for us, interceptions, and then that fumble before the half. Chris Robinson, he was, had the ball loosely, and he got tackled, got sacked, but they scooped and scored on that one before the half, and then we came down and we kicked the field goal before the half. So that was the only thing that really, you take away those 21 points, it's only 16 points. So, those guys fought hard in that second half, and they came out, fighting.
Because certainly going forward, we know that mistakes are the things that can be eliminated. just wasn't a question of them outmanning us or anything in that first half defensively. So to hear your points about the turnovers being the key factors as to why they got that lead.
Yes.
And then when things settled in the second half, the defense really just asserted itself and took over the game.
Yeah, they did. We had a couple of big plays from their offense. The defense, gave up. But other than that, like I said, second half, those guys, they nailed everything down. And it was a bend but don't break defense. And they gave them a goose egg in the second half. They didn't sniff the end zone or a field goal. But those guys bought in and played lights out again, second half.
Well, you talk about players on that defense throughout the ball game, but particularly in the second half where they really started to stand up. The name that really comes to the top of the list is Rossi Grimes.
Yeah, Rossi Grimes, he finished the game with 12 tackles overall, and he's another young guy. He was a true freshman last year. So those guys are coming in with game experience from last year, and he's just playing good ball this year. He's buying in, and he's listening to the defensive staff and understanding the schemes and everything that the defensive coordinator, Coach Ken Watson, is putting in. So he's a actually a strong safety, and he roams the field on that back chamber. So those guys are buying in.
And Rossi actually tied for second in tackles overall amongst HBCUs in the nation. So really turning in, you reflect back on the Johnson C. Smith ball game, and again on Saturday, he's really turning in some good numbers for the Golden Tigers.
Yes, he is. He is. Like I say, he's a young, hungry guy, and he's a leader of that group on the defensive side of the ball, and he gets those guys lined up and everything. So we're going to have a good week of practice this week and just minimize the mistakes and everything on both sides of the ball and special teams. So I'm just excited to see, to let those guys loose when we actually face Savannah State next weekend.
You talk about that defense. There were so many plays that they made big stops in that second half to hold Grambling scoreless in that second half. We normally do the Alabama Power TU play of the day, and we gave it to the entire defense on a third down situation where they just shut the Tigers out and stopped them on that third down to give us that football back to keep us in contention in that ball game. But credit to that entire group that they just played a solid second half of football.
Yeah, it was an entire group, like you said. Those guys, we won third down conversion, and those guys, they, like I said, it was a bend but don't break defense in the second half, and I just can't talk enough about them. I mean, they're playing on another level.
And you talk about Grambling, the quarterback for them, Miles Crawley, just transfer into that program and just really a stellar quarterback in terms of throwing the football. But in that second half, able to shut that passing game down for Grambling as well.
Yeah, it was. He got a couple of big plays in the first half, and those guys, we started sending some pressure at him and took him off his throwing lane. As a quarterback, his statue, you want to sit in, and he's a gunslinger. He don't like things coming in his face. So we were shooting some things at him and got him out of rhythm, and he was throwing off his back foot a lot. So that was a plus for the defense.
Defense shuts them out in the second half. Tigers win it overall, but Tuskegee with a fine performance, encouraging performance as we get set for the Tigers of Savannah State to open our home portion of the season. That's on the 21st at Cleve Abbott Stadium. But right now we're live from Vibes Restaurant. Willie Streeter right over there, the owner. Glad to have us here. Glad you could get us hosted over here, Willie. More ahead here on the show. And if you're in Tuskegee and you want some good grub, come on down. We're still here. More of the Aaron James Coaches Show after this time out. We're live on the Golden Tigers Sports Network. TU, we got you.
I love the lake. It's like one of the few places I can just let go and be myself. I really love it here.
We didn't get together, go out and say, hey, we're going to go down there and set the world on fire. It was more collectively individuals seeking to do their best and accomplish the mission that was assigned.
Our mission is to carry the lessons and legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen into every classroom in America.
If you believe as we do that this is an exciting and effective way to carry the story of the Tuskegee Airmen and the excitement of flight to young people all across America, to inspire them to realize how they can rise above the situation they find themselves in, the adversity in their lives, and become contributing members of our society, then we'd encourage you, we'd invite you to come to our website at redtail.org and learn more about what we do.
We are back live inside of Vibes Restaurant, getting set for our final segment, that's special teams. But before we get into that, a couple of housekeeping things to make you aware of. We're at Vibes here every Monday night for the Aaron James Coaches Show. We'd love to have you come in, have a fine meal, and participate inside of the show. Chance to ask Coach James some questions. Microphone's set, and you can ask any question that you want, and Coach James will certainly answer it. Athletics Director Reginald Ruffin also here this evening and invites you to come down as well. And he says, when you come down, eat what the AD eats. We're not going to tell you what it is. You got to come down here to find out. We're live from Vibes Restaurant, Coach Aaron James Show. A couple of other housekeeping issues for you. Schedule for the Golden Tigers, home opener in a couple of weeks, September 21st at Cleve Abbott Memorial Alumni Stadium, where they'll host the Tigers of Savannah State. Golden Tigers will be looking for their first win of the campaign. Then on October 19th, we're back at Cleve Abbott again. That's open house weekend and Military Appreciation Day. Want to have you come out there and support the military and get the chance to see some potential students coming into Tuskegee as we roll out the red carpet for them. Also, at the end of the season, it will be the homecoming game on November 9th, and that'll be the 100th homecoming for Tuskegee. And you certainly don't want to miss being a part of that at Cleve Abbott Stadium. Be hosting the Bears of Miles College, and you can't forget, lodged in there on October 5th is the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic. That'll come back at its original home in Columbus, Georgia, where Morehouse and Tuskegee will tangle. If you want to get tickets for that ball game, tickets are on sale on the Morehouse campus is there, but also on sale here at the Tuskegee campus as well for that ball game. And any other home games, you can get those online by going to the athletics website to initiate your purchase for those ball games. Coach James, we talked about the offense, talked about the defense. Now special teams, really a good performance by special teams coming into the weekend with Larkin Ryans carrying a lot of the load, kicking it and punting it for us.
Yes, he did both. He came in, he was 2 or 3 field goals, and he ended up making a 47-yard field goal. So he got a strong leg, and he works his tail off. He was here all summer kicking and working with the strength conditioning coach. So he put in the work, and it's showing.
Well, you talked about it in pregame about your confidence in him. Anytime we get over that 50-yard line and maybe a couple plays after that, we're close to being in a comfort zone for Larkin.
Yes, it's good. And then we didn't have any blocked field goals this week, so my trust is in him. And once we get into his comfort zone, we're gonna kick the ball. So that's no doubt. We're gonna go for 3, and I'm confident that he's gonna make it.
Special teams for us, we got such special return players. Didn't have a really chance to shine in this ball game against the Tigers of Grambling, but I know you have confidence in the return team, both punting and kicking returns.
Yeah, I do. They kicked the ball majority of the time in the end zone, so we really couldn't get anything shaken on the kickoff return. Punt return, they got a good punter. He was putting a lot of height on the ball, so they was able to get down the field, and we had to fair catch everything. So I'm still excited about our return team. So those guys put in the work, and I'm excited.
How big was that field goal just before the intermission that Ryans hit to give us our first points of the ball game?
Oh, it was good. That was the momentum going into the halftime. So those guys rallied around him and took that energy into the halftime, and they came out, and it showed second half.
I know it's part of the offensive and its defensive strategy of any coach to try to flip that field as much as you can, and you use special teams, particularly punting, to do that. Going into the ball game against the Tigers of Savannah State, I know we're going to be looking to do that in Cleve Abbott.
Yes, it's always about field position. You always want to flip the field, just to try to pin them and make them go the length of the field. That's a mindset that we have. So we get opportunity. Ryan Larkins, he's gonna flip the field for us. So put those guys in a long yardage to try to get down to the other end.
We were talking about this before we came on air, and you talked about this not giving anything away. I think it's going to be general enough to know that once things get started. It's an extension of special teams, I suppose. You were talking about winning that coin toss and deciding this weekend, if you win it against the Tigers of Savannah State in 2 weeks from now, that you're going to put the offense out there first versus the defense. What's your thinking behind that?
Yes, it's going to just try to get the momentum going with those guys and just change the mindset so those guys are on the offensive side can go ahead and get on the field first and go ahead and get their energy going. So, I mean, once those guys get in the end zone and give us that momentum, which I know they're going to do, that's going to get everything rolling from there.
This is first conference action, looking for the first win of the campaign. Savannah State took it on the chin this weekend against Southern University. What are you going to be looking for out of Savannah State?
Those guys are going to be hungry as well. They just came off a loss against Southern, 42-10. So those guys, they're going to be real prepared. Prepared for it. Coach Keaton, he does a good job over there. Kelton does a good job over there with those guys. So they are facing Central State this weekend. So with us having a bye week, we're going to make sure that we are looking at that game, trying to scout it, and just getting ready for next week against them.
We talked about that prior to the ball game this weekend against the Tigers of Grambling, that one of the things, in addition to wanting to win that game, was to kind of come out of it injury-free. How do we come out on that, Scott?
We came out pretty good. We had a little bang, nicks and bruises here, so it's good that we got this week off to heal up and just get mental reps and get prepared for next week against Savannah State. So I'm proud of what we have done so far for today's practice and for the practice ahead. So I'm just ready to roll.
It will be the beginning of conference play. How important is it going to be for us to have a really genuine quality start against Savannah?
It's going to be it's a must. We have to, and I know the guys are going to be well prepared and well coached and ready for this opener at home. So we're going to have the stands filled, with the alumni and the student body as well and the fans. So that it's going to be electric, and those guys will know what's at stake. Like I say, this is the first conference game, and all the games right now count. So those guys are knowing, and they're going to buy in, and it's going to be on me to get them rolling.
That'll be in a couple of weeks, September 21st at Cleve Abbott Memorial Stadium at Tuskegee University. Step out for our final timeout. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here from Vibes Restaurant, give you some housekeeping issues ahead, and close things out with Coach Aaron James. This is the Golden Tigers Sports Network.
Hey, are you fixing the power?
Yep, I'm gonna get the lights back on.
Yeah, my power went out and I have to start level 14 all over again in our game. Yeah, why didn't mine go out?
Well, we have this technology that can stop an outage in its tracks.
Why?
So less people will be affected during the outage.
Why?
So you can make the level 15?
Come on, Brian. Let's go to your house and keep playing.
Good luck, guys.
Welcome back, everybody, inside of Vibes Restaurant in Tuskegee, Alabama. Aaron James Coach's Show. Coach, as we get set to close things out for this segment or episode of the Coach's Show, say something to the audience out there. Tuskegee looking for its first win of the campaign to get them to come to Cleve Abbott Stadium on September 21st.
Just want to tell you all, just come out with open arms and just look for an exciting ball game. Pack the stands, and the shed is going to be rocking. The hill is going to be rocking as well. So just come out and support the Golden Tigers. We look forward to seeing you all, and just make sure that we're going to give you an exciting show.
Head coach Aaron James, you don't want to miss it on September 21st. Golden Tigers will be hosting the Tigers of Savannah State live on the Tuskegee campus. That'll do it for this edition of the show. Thanks to Willie Streeter and all the fine folks here at Vibes Restaurant for hosting us. We'll be right back here next Monday with the Coaches Show. That'll lead up to the week of the Savannah game on the campus of Tuskegee. Quick reminder that tickets are on sale on the campus for the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic. That's down in Columbus, and you can get your tickets for the home games on the schedule. First one on the 21st against Savannah, then against Kentucky State on open house, and Military Appreciation Day on the 19th, and then the homecoming ball game. That's the 100th for Tuskegee. You do not want to miss that. That's on November 9th from the stadium as well. Again, thanks to Willie Streeter and the fine folks here at Vibes Restaurant. Thanks to AD Reginald Ruffin, who's here with the rest of the athletic staff contingent, supporting Coach Aaron James on the Aaron James Coaches Show. On behalf of everybody here at the Golden Tigers Sports Network, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be right back here again on Monday with the Coach Aaron James Show live on the Golden Tigers Sports Network.